and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I'm going to be making a quick and easy versatile meat pocket. What do I mean by versatile? Well, a lot of the ingredients can be swapped out depending on what you have available. Today I'm using ground lamb, but I've also made these with ground chicken, ground turkey, some ground beef, and I think if you could get a hold of it, ground venison would be absolutely amazing in these. Your seasonings are totally optional, and you can change those up depending on what you're feeling that night or just the different kind of meat that you're using. Most of these vegetables are totally optional. I would say always add in an onion and some garlic, but the celery and the peppers you don't need to add if you don't like them or you don't want them in there. And yeah, the rest of it, like I said, is totally optional. You can change it up, mix it up, and match it up however you like. Alright, the first thing I want to do is start with a dipping sauce. In a bowl, I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of Greek yogurt. To the Greek yogurt, I'm also going to add in a little bit of chopped green onion. If you don't have green onion but you have some chives on hand, feel free to use those. If you don't have chives but you have some fresh parsley or even some dried parsley, add that in instead. Like I said, this thing is so easy to mix and match up. I also want to take 1 of my cloves of garlic and crush that in to our yogurt and onions. A little pinch of salt and some cracked black pepper. And finish it off with a good squeeze of lemon. This is a very juicy lemon, so I'm not going to add all of that. Once you're happy with the seasoning, I like to add just a little bit more of whatever I added in, whether it was chives, parsley, or the green onion, right on top. And this is going to go into the refrigerator and set up while we make the rest of our dish. Now that I have the dipping sauce done, it's time to move on to our pocket. And I'm starting off with 1 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, to which I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Make sure you mix that in. You don't want to get any little salty bites. Make sure it's thoroughly mixed. And then once it is, add in 150 milliliters of water. And that's just room temperature water, nothing special about it. And then give this a stir. I stir for as long as I can with the wooden spoon, and then once it just won't mix any more of that flour in, I do like to go in with my hand and try and get all of the flour incorporated in with the water. Don't worry if you don't get it all in. If it looks really shaggy and you have a lot of loose in the bottom, don't worry about that. We're going to be adding in 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and that should help bring the rest of the flour into the big main ball there. Once it forms into a ball, go ahead and remove it to a flat surface so you can knead it until it becomes smooth. After about 5 minutes of kneading, your dough should have smoothed out and be nice and elastic, have a little bit of bounce to it. So that means it is ready to go back in the bowl and sit over to the side for about 20 minutes. I'm going to cover this while we make our filling. In my skillet, I've gone ahead and melted 2 tablespoons of butter, to which I'm going to add my vegetables so they can start sauteing. I just want to lightly soften these. They don't need to be cooked all the way through. After about 5 minutes, your onion should be starting to turn translucent, and the other vegetables should have started softening up. So I want to add in my ground lamb. Once I start getting the ground meat broken up into small pieces, I want to add in my seasonings. Today I'm using 1/4 teaspoon of thyme, 1/2 teaspoon of marjoram, and 1/4 teaspoon of savory. Those can go in, along with 1 crushed clove of garlic, a good pinch of salt, and you'll also want some more ground black pepper. And add as much of this or as little as you like. Season to taste, guys. Always season to taste. Alright, I'm going to continue stirring and cooking this until our vegetables are completely tender and the meat is browned all the way through. Once your vegetables are tender and the meat's cooked all the way through, go ahead and turn off your heat. You'll want to drain any extra drippings or fat that's in the bottom of your pan off of the meat and allow this to cool to room temperature. Now that my filling's cooled down, it's time to start dividing the dough. And I want to make these into as equal pieces as I can. I'm hoping to get anywhere between 8 and 10 pieces out of this. Once you get your dough divided, go ahead and shape these into balls. It'll just make them a little bit easier to roll out. Alright, once you get all your balls shaped, go ahead and start flattening it out a little bit. I'm looking for roughly a circle or an oblong shape once I start rolling this out. And then roll it out as thin as you can get it without ripping the dough. Once you've got it rolled out, it's time to add the filling in. And be very generous here. I'm probably going to try and get close to a half a cup of filling into the center of my meat pocket. I know it looks like I've got an awful lot in there, but trust me, it's going to come together. Go ahead and start bringing your edges up and pinching them together. It's okay if they don't stick. We'll make them stick here in the end. Go all the way around until you reach the other side. And then I like to bring both sides up and over each other, including the ends. And make sure you seal those very well. And once you do, go ahead and flip it over. Give it a gentle pat to flatten meat out and help push any extra air out of the inside of the meat pocket. And I'm looking for roughly an oval shape. There we go. That looks pretty good. I'm not too worried about it right now. I'm going to be sealing it when I bake it. Or well, actually, we're going to be frying this in the pan. So when I fry it, it will completely seal. I'm going to set those off to the side, and I'm going to start working on my next one. Again, I want to do that by flattening out my circle and then rolling it as thin as I can get it. Alright, once again, after I get it flattened out, I'll go ahead and add in a generous amount of filling right into the middle. And then I'll start by bringing my edges up and crimping them all the way around until I get back to the other side. And then once there, I'll bring all my edges up so that they meet right there in the middle. Give them a good little pinch, flip it over, give it a nice little squish to get rid of that air and help seal the bottom. And there we go. Next one is done. So I'm going to go ahead and continue getting all of these rolled out and filled. Back over at the stove, I've gone ahead and melted about a tablespoon of butter in my frying pan, and I'm going to start by laying my pockets in seam side down and allowing these to brown up for a few minutes. Cook on one side for probably about 4 to 5 minutes, just until they start turning a nice golden brown. When they start turning golden brown, go ahead and flip them over and start cooking them on the other side. When you're happy with how brown they are, then they're done. Go ahead and remove them off to the side and continue browning up the rest of your pockets. I've got all the meat pockets cooked up, and now it's time for us to try one of these. I am very excited. I can't wait to dig in. I have made these I don't know how many times with so many different fillings, and they are absolutely delicious every time I try them. Oh wow. Y'all gotta forgive me. I'm having a moment here. These things are so dang good. I've made these with all kinds of ground meat, and I love them every time I try them. It's like they get better and better with each time I make them. Right now, the lamb by far my absolute favorite. These simple meat pockets certainly prove that it doesn't take a lot of ingredients to make something absolutely delicious. I certainly hope you guys give this recipe a try sometime. I absolutely love it, and I've been happy to share it with you today. But that is going to be it for me for the day. If you all have enjoyed this video, leave me a comment down below. If you guys tried this recipe out, let me know how it turned out for you. And as always, thank you all so very much for joining me today. I'm a Walker. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope I'll see you in the next one.